Welcome once again. I'm Charlie Greenberg, your host and moderator for Digital Business Demos. This is the series where we provide live business demos that focus on different digital transformation and platform strategies, and in particular, demonstrate different components and products within Software AG's digital business platform. And today we're going to introduce you to Dynamic Apps, which is an exciting and comprehensive platform that orchestrates multiple technologies to ensure rapid and high-quality application development. In just a moment, we'll be hearing from Rick McEachern, Vice President for Product Marketing and Business Development, and Rick will be joined by our Chief Solution Architect, Sammy Marcos, who will be demoing today's Dynamic App solution. But first, if you don't know anything about Software AG, or just to remind you, we're a 48-year-old organization, well known for customer-centric innovation. In fact, Software AG is ranked as a leader in many innovative and digital technology categories. We have more than 4,300 employees, $1 billion in annual revenue, and we can cite over 70% of the Global 1,000 as customers. And those customers include well over 2 million developers at leading organizations who have adopted webMethods products and Software AG innovative solutions to provide cross-industry, cross-private, and public sectors, and who rely on Software AG to complete their journey as a digital enterprise by using the end-to-end capabilities of the digital business platform. Please keep in mind that following Rick's and Sammy's presentation, we will provide a Q&A session. So as usual, please use the WebEx Q&A box at the bottom right-hand side of your screen for any questions and comments. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce Rick McEachern.
Thanks, Charlie. I appreciate it. Hello, everybody. This is the second Dynamic Apps platform webinar. The first one was in March, focused on how you can use the low-code capabilities to create new applications visually. This one's focused on Dynamic Apps platform, how you can build and scale applications very fast, and we're happy to go into this in some detail today. We're going to be covering a lot of topics. First of all, this is part of the Software AG digital business platform, which includes tools and technologies and platforms that are either hosted in the cloud or on-premise or in hybrid mode that deliver all the needed components to help you in your business transformation, whether it's collaborative process planning, whether it's decision support and analytics, integration, or in-memory data. Today we're focusing on process applications, and in particular, Dynamic Apps, and this is the ability to create kind of those next generation of applications that help you engage your customer in ways that you need to differentiate your company and products. Now, we're very proud that one of the leading analysts, Forrester, has just done a roundup of a competitive landscape of vendors who provide software in the business process and digital process automation space. And the Software AG is a leader in this space. They looked at 21 dimensions of product offering and product strategy and go-to-market capabilities. And in particular, they were focused on, what ability does the vendor have to provide deep process capabilities so that you can create process-driven applications and do dynamic case management and document management and business rules and modeling, all of those core capabilities you need for enterprise software. But also, can you support a wide number of processes that deal with new sorts of technologies, everything from artificial intelligence to Internet of Things, or can you map the customer journey? Are there customer journey metrics? Can you do a low code in a way that involves more people across the enterprise? And so on all of these attributes and dimensions, we were ranked as a leader, which means we're perfectly positioned to help you in your digital transformation by providing you with capabilities that help your IT group and your business users create customer engagement applications. Certainly, IT provides the high control environment they need, and business users get the visual environment that they need to collaboratively build these new generation of applications. And then, of course, if you're a company that's looking at brand new technologies and how you use robotic process automation, to automate a lot of the routine, repetitive steps. We can help you with that, as well as integrating AI and EOT across your new engagement style application. So we're very happy about this. There's more information that will be on our website, and that will be available to you after the webinar. But when we looked at the type of applications, and when Forrester looked at the type of applications that customers are building now through their inquiries, they're really focused on customer experience and engagement. And when you think about how a company will stand apart in the digital age, it's largely based on the service level that's delivered and the experience that's delivered to the customer. We know that many products are very similar in terms of functionality these days: cars, financial services. They all have a lot of the same attributes, but what makes it stand apart is how well they service their customers, how well they provide an experience that's memorable, how quickly they can meet their expectations. And let's face it, digital customers have more power than ever, and so the challenges are there for companies who want to step up and meet those requirements in new and interesting ways. Now, when we look at where customers are spending their dollars to better engage customers, attract customers, keep customers, there's a couple of areas where they're focused on. So one of them, of course, is customer onboarding. And we all have heard the saying that first impressions last, and that's certainly true with a customer. And so what we see is that fast and efficient onboarding can make a big difference. If you are a competitor and you can onboard a customer in seconds or minutes, you have a huge advantage over another person in the industry, another company in the industry that's going to take days to get that customer's information into the system so they can do business with them. And so we see that based on research that 52% of companies that are going along this digital transformation journey, they're focused on investing and re-engineering their onboarding process. And so this is significant, and it's an area that across the board companies are investing time and resources in. Another big area has to do with how you keep customers happy, and keeping a customer has a far better ROI than it's far less expensive to keep a customer than to attract a customer in the first place. And so this is a point of truth where a company can stand out or they can lose a customer forever. And so often it has to do with the process a customer goes through to get a question answered, whether it has to do with a wrong product shipment or warranty information that's wrong, or they just need better service. We see that 64% of companies who are engaged in their re-engineering processes are investing in customer complaints and customer servicing applications. And so this is a huge area of improving that customer journey, and an area that Software AG can help you with. And then finally, we know that across the board, more people than ever in the workforce are distributed. They work from home, they work in the field, they work with the customer, and they need process applications that work online and they work offline, and they need the tools to get their job done, right? So we know that 72% of the workforce is outside the office by 2020. This is fast upon us, and you got to have the right tools that let people on any mobile device get to the information they need through integration and through easy-to-use interfaces. And so these are just three examples of improving the customer journey and improving the efficiency of the workforce to service a customer, where Software AG is uniquely positioned to help. Now, one of the ways that these customers will be interacting with your company will be through applications, web applications and back-end applications. And it's about apps and building apps as a complete solution that help you accomplish the outcome that you have in mind. And if it's about apps, then there's three challenges that you're going to face. One is, how do you create and change apps efficiently? The next one is, how do you support a lot of different work patterns and work scenarios on one platform? Certainly one of the nightmares that IT has is that there'll be so many different platforms that support different kinds of applications that tying those all together becomes different. But if you can do it on one platform, then you certainly have an advantage in efficiency and scalability and management. And then finally, it's not about simply building applications on one platform is how do you manage it and understand what's happening in real time so you operationally have the advantage you need in the market. And so Software AG's approach to this is simply that we provide a lot of easy ways to get started. Out-of-the-box starter applications, out-of-the-box user interfaces. You can get started with low code. You can certainly pull more people into the application creation process. One of the big problems that IT has today is when they look at the different types of apps and sheer volume of apps that are requested, the long tail of IT is daunting, where you may be looking at hundreds of applications requests and there's just not enough resources to get them all done. Well, that changes if you can engage more people in the application development cycle. And so being able to have business users who need a low-code application create one or use it and get it done very quickly is a huge benefit to the entire organization and allows innovation engagement across the company. And so being able to assemble applications through components that are already built that just need to be put into place, being able to execute those applications, being able to monitor them, and then, of course, optimize them and change them is huge. And so applications that are built to be changed is one of the key principles that we bring in the Dynamic Apps platform. Low code and IT-driven apps. Certainly there's different types of modes that are there, different personas that are involved in developing applications. And so certainly as we look at the requirements to engage business users, subject matter experts, people who need forms-based, lightweight applications, people who want to experiment with a process and try to automate something quickly because a new regulation or a competitive requirement or just a collaboration requirement with their teammate, they want to get an application in place quickly to start tracking and collaborating. That can be done very well with a low-code platform. Then, of course, you've got the IT-driven, where the requirements are well known. They don't change that often. You've got systems of record. A lot of programming is required. It's primarily not a visual environment. But both of these need to be able to be supported on a single platform and leverage synergies between them. So you can go from an IT platform to a low-code component of that platform that manages exceptions. Or you can go from a low-code, let's say, request-style management application that then can evolve into more of an enterprise application. And so definitely you got to be able to address both personas equally well on the platform. And then there's different styles. Certainly there's structured and dynamic. Structured is kind of like order to cash, where it's application to application communication. It's well known. That needs to be supported, to human-centric style of work patterns like dynamic case management, where complaints come in and there's no preset process for how a complaint flow will go because you're not quite sure what the customer's going to ask. And so it's a lot of collaboration and ad hoc process creation. And then somewhere in between is workflow management. So this is a complete spectrum where, if it's application-to-application communication, you're covered. If it deals with reviews and approvals and signature process, you're covered. And, of course, human-to-human interaction, and anywhere in between, it's all covered on the same platform. And then finally, there's this whole idea that with the Dynamic Apps platform, and certainly with digital transformation products, you want transparency and visibility, and the ability to understand what's happening before it becomes a customer issue, right? So if a process gets, if there's a process issue, or you're alerted in various ways, or you see a KPI that says orders are not being fulfilled quickly enough, and processes aren't advancing quickly enough, then you get proactive alerts, and then you can deal with it visually and analyze what's happening and what needs to happen, and then you can take actions on it that's informed based on actual decisions. And the ability to manage your processes to make sure that your business is flowing before it becomes a customer issue is significantly important and something that Software AG can help with. And then finally, your applications have to be connected. So they have to be, you need to be able to connect with your legacy apps. You need to connect with more sources of data than ever before. And that data can come from anywhere. It could come from mainframe applications. It could come from devices that have internet connectivity. And so it needs to be easily to configure and reconfigure and reusable, and of course secure and available from any device. And so this is one of the areas where Software AG is very strong in the area of integrating your apps with your ecosystem. So we call this the Dynamic Apps Platform, and it brings together all these complementary capabilities in one platform that lets you build visual forms, that lets you orchestrate tasks, process, that allow you to communicate over different channels, social, IoT with devices, and mobile, web, and then provides you the deep capabilities to manage that infrastructure through discovery and operational KPIs and even predictive information that help you head off problems before they start. And so this is becoming a very important part of the overall digital business platform. The Dynamic Apps Platform is your platform for developing this next generation of customer engagement apps. And so the benefits are improved customer experience, without a doubt. This is something that you want to do, engage with customers and simplify their experience. And so this platform will help you do that better and do it faster. You can also increase operational efficiency. You get the visibility and KPIs out of the box that help you understand what's happening with your processes. And of course, all of this is to increase your agility and foster innovation so that the company can respond better to new changing business requirements, regulatory requirements, competitive requirements, because it's designed to be configured and updated dynamically. Here's an example of ATB Financial, Alberta Treasury branches in Canada, serving about 680,000 customers. And a big financial services company, and similar to the investments that I mentioned earlier, they were dealing with an onboarding process that took 11 days. And using Software AG's technologies, they were able to shorten that to less than an hour. And so now that more than 70% of the applicants who are applying for loans or financial products can be approved automatically. And then they spend their resources focusing on the exceptions and what are the areas where the humans need to be involved and more personal touch needs to be there to make decisions. And so by automating processes, by using our decisioning capabilities, Alberta Treasury branches was able to really improve the customer experience. Now, what we're going to do next is focus on seeing some of these capabilities in a demonstration, and we're going to go through an example of a loan processing application that we've probably all been through ourselves, where you apply for a loan and through some sort of website portal, and that information flows to a customer service representative who then asks you for information and helps you understand what you need to do to get ready to submit this. There's going to be some information that we're going to cover about process owner, so you can see how they score it, how they evaluate risks, how they use some really impressive artificial intelligence capabilities to score loans. And then finally, what's going on with the underwriter? What information does he need so he can approve or reject an application? And we're going to walk through some of these personas, and Sammy and Marcos will take it now and walk you through the demonstration of the Dynamic Apps Platform.
Thank you, Rick. So next we're going to look together at the Dynamic Apps technology in action. I like to start quickly by describing the use case, our scenario that Rick just touched on. So at a high level, the loan origination scenario goes through three simple, conceptually very simple stages. And you will see them depicted by the three swim lanes. The first stage normally conducted by the applicant. There are a number of channels. Later on, I hope to show omni-channels, if you will. But typically, the applicant will submit a loan request. Once that's done, that launches a process. The next stage, mostly done by a CSR, the second swim lane. Much of the activities is data preparation for underwriting. we will see an array of technologies come into play: automation through case management, workflow tasks, mobile. But we're going to see also something new and fairly cool at the area of robotics, RPA, robotics process automation. From there, we go through underwriting. And if you think at the center, at the heart of underwriting, it's about assessing risk. So there's a number of intelligence capabilities in addition to prediction and NBA, next best action recommendations. There are new technologies we brought to bear that will be highlighted. So this is pretty much our process. Just one little observation. This use case is based on a real scenario we did with a large bank. And although for those of us on the call who may not be in a finance industry, this has a little tilt of finance. The capabilities that will be accentuated are universal in nature. So potentially they can apply to any process. Keep in mind, not everything that is shown, you may use it with every application. It depends on our situation, but they can be pieced together to automate and add intelligence to have the best outcome for different stakeholders. A word on the format. We're going to flow through a journey, if you will. And along the path of this journey, there'll be different stakeholders touching, if you will, the process. And we'll be pausing and highlighting these capabilities. The one little caveat I want to give is there are really many capabilities. There was a little bit of almost a debate trying to think which ones to prune to fit the timeline. I have a technical vein in me, and I have a strong tendency, especially when I'm sitting with IT, to say, hey, here's a capability, let me lift the hood. So we'll minimize that just so we can do a broad brush. And again, the goal here is to inspire some thinking and what's possible with technology like this. So the first stop in our journey, we're going to start with an applicant who will apply for a loan. I probably expired, so let me just refresh my screen. Just to save time, here's a form, and I have a little button that will randomly put some data to save me a few seconds. I'm going to also semi-randomly pick a name from one of the attendee lists that I see. I notice a lady that I don't think I met, so I appreciate, Olga, I appreciate you allowing me to borrow your name. But I'm going to use Olga Ginsburg on the list. I'm going to put a random social security number, and Olga is going to apply for a loan. The product type is a house. Again, this could be any type of loan, and from a house loan, we want a fixed rate mortgage. Just before I submit it, and we're ready for this, just a couple of remarks. This is a form fully built with our dynamic apps. We do give our customers options to build forms using citizen development, totally codeless. We also give the option to use an IT-centric form development. So if you want to be particularly picky, go down to the pixel perfect. These are the attributes. This form, by the way, happens to use a responsive design layout. For example, here, if I say randomly, I change the state and I say Olga lives in New York. Watch what happens when I just change. You will see on the right, dynamically it will respond, and we're ready to continue from here. So let's submit the loan. It'll tell me loan submitted. And if you remember the process picture, Olga right now, swim lane 1 is done with her application. I just want to also inject a little touch, even though I used, and by the way, I could have used my tablet or my iPhone because it's responsive. Later on, we're going to show other channels such as Internet of Things and even social media that can be used to launch and trigger a process as well. So loan was launched. We received it. We're going to see all that visually, all out of the box. But just to remind us, right now behind the scenes, we are invoking some service, as we said, done by the CSR. Just to leave a thought here, to us, this could have been a CRM. Could have been a CRM like a Salesforce.com that we invoke a service. It could have been a mainframe application. To us, this is nothing more than our platform to click, select the implementation, connect to underlying system. But just to show possibilities, this entire underneath this service is an entire application built using Mode 1, Mode 2 development. Mode 2, again, if you remember, as emphasized, Mode 2 is an approach, a model of development we're seeing more and more used, where you want to be able to build something fast, be able to be competitive, especially attractive with systems of engagement. So just for now, we're going to see it. We're just stating that this entirely an application underneath built with Mode 1. So let's take a look. This is the app. A lot of capabilities, dashboards, reports. And if I click on the loans inbox, you will see different types of inboxes on the right. The one says show me all the loans that came in today, and we're going to see Olga. From here, if I click on Olga, we will drill down and get much more detail about Olga. So this tells me what loan request was assigned, her name, priority, it's new, it just came in. You see information about Olga, information about the residency. You could see the New York address we put in, some banking information. Olga, we're not trying to be nosy here. This, we generated it randomly in the screen. And as you remember, right now, we're going to pause for a second. Now we are at the CSR. The customer service rep receives it, and the customer service reps wants to make sure all the data is collected and it's ready for underwriting. Just you'll notice there's various tabs or forms about driver's license for Olga, wages information, and so on. So some of this information needs to be filled. We're going to fill it in a moment. But I just want to highlight two capabilities before I proceed. And I'm going to shift a little bit to wear the hat of the citizen development. As I said, this entire application was built using citizen development. In fact, I wish we have time luxury to sit and build some portions of it in minutes in front of our eyes. I'll suggest this app, probably as little as 2 to 3 hours, can be entirely built from scratch. I'm going to resist the temptation, but leave those of us who haven't seen our Agile Apps capability, what we refer to as Mode 2 citizen development. We have several recorded demos that show how you can, in even half an hour, build an application. So I just want to leave that thought. I just want to also highlight, we selected, when we built this app, selected the option of case management. And that gives us an array of out-of-the-box capabilities, an array of a lot of dynamicism. I'll just touch on 1 or 2 of them. Things like you will see a tab when I click on Olga's case for a CSR. I could, on the fly, go ahead and dynamically add a task. So I could say, please review fast. Oops, I don't know how to spell. Forgive me. Fast. And let's say I'm going to send it to a colleague of mine with the name Peter. Pops him up, and I want this to be done today. And I could have a single task or a multitask. Think of it as ad hoc tasks. Even further, you will notice I have processes that I could dynamically launch. Like if Olga, let's say, is a VIP, or this is a delayed task, I could just, I'll give us a visual here. If I click on expedited appraisal, you will see a simple process. Even a process like this, a citizen type user, if you are able to whiteboard the process, you could go into the UI and model it. And once you drag and drop these widgets, basically you're going to be filling in wizards, if you will. So with this in mind, let me just, oops. So just a little reference, that's all I've done to citizen development. Now let's continue our journey. And what I'd like to demonstrate is citizen development. So in fact, bear with me 1 teeny second. So to do citizen development, not citizen development, pardon me, to demonstrate. So the next capability we're going to highlight is robotics, or what's referred to as RPA, robotic process automation. So we stated we automated an app and a service. We will also see, because this app was built using our citizen development mode, this is entirely seamlessly integrated. And without just going there and showing us, in the modeling tool where we saw the process, I click on the step and I say it's a human-centric. Implementation gives me options, 2 radio buttons. I tell it it's a case management. It lets me find any app, case management. I pick my case, and pretty much it's ready to orchestrate over it. So with this in mind, let's next show another level of automation. Think of it. I'm a CSR, and I want to fill in all the information about Olga, and I can interact with her because it's case management. I could do things like send her a note. I could collaborate with her. And let's say she sends me information about the driver's license. I could simply go in, select a file, and let's say pick Olga. Olga, I don't have a true driver's license for you, so I'm going to just pick one randomly. And this is to demonstrate, save it. I could add, and you'll notice this is just part of case management. Part of my container, I'm going to add to it, let's say a W-2 form, the wages. And we're going to save it. And you could validate here. Any of these are going to be saved, all part of the case. You could see here a driver's license image with some information. So here's the use case. It is very common for customer-facing, front-facing apps to pull and collect data from different apps. These could be Java-based, .NET-based, any browser-based, and type them in. So think of it. It's time-consuming for me as a CSR. It is prone to error. It is very mundane type activity. Wouldn't be nice if I have, again, the concept of a robot, somebody who will key in this for me, pull it, transform it if needed, apply some intelligence. So our robotics, in our case, I'm going to simply trigger the robot. And what you will see here is I'm right now not touching the keyboard. The robot basically takes control of the keyboard, and you'll notice he will basically click on the right tab, start pulling data. And it's doing, by the way, it's using a patented OCR capability. It has some reasoning, and it takes the data from the forms. In this case, it happened to be the documents that Olga sent to me, but it could have been pulling it from other different UIs. I also want to add, notice all this data that was entered from the robot, and now the robot says, save the changes if you're happy with it. I could save it. I save. Yeah, so if I save the work and I click on all the data, you could see all the data was entered for me. You could see the W-2 form entered. Because it's case management out of the box, every little touch, every field that was changed, we'll see the before and the after image, who did it. These are some out-of-the-box attributes of case management. I can turn them off. But just one little pause before I go. So robotics is a capability you could use with any app that's front-ending with UI, and you could use the robot to do repetitive, mundane activities, so people like a CSR can focus on showing attention and love while I'm on the phone, having some interaction, engagement with the customer, like Olga in this case. I do want to add our robotic capability also can operate. It operates in one of two modes. In an unattended mode, what we call true automation, where you can have one or many robots pulling data from different apps, UIs, converting it and filling it in for me, or I could work in what's called an attended mode. Attended mode is where the robot and I, the human being, were interacting. You saw the robot tell me, park aside. Our robot's name is Leo. You may have seen it, and he fills the information. So hopefully this gives us a little taste of a new capability we've added. It adds another layer of a sub-process that helps me be more customer engaging. So with this in mind, let's continue our journey quickly. I, as a CSR, let's say I am happy with the data that was entered. I feel everything is needed. All I'm going to do is change the process, and this is my signal to my big overarching process, the loan origination. I'm going to say, basically now, I'm going to hand the case so it continues in the process. So let's continue our journey. In our journey, let me just refresh. Probably expired. So now next, we're going to continue with this journey by showing tracking management on Olga, Olga's loan request. For those who have not seen the next capability, it is referred to, I just briefly want to introduce, it's referred to as Business Console. Business Console has 3 key tabs. You could add your own and customize it, and each tab has sub-capabilities. In a nutshell, Business Console is a UI. It's an application that is out of the box. We provide it to our customer. It allows me to track, to manage, to analyze, to do escalations out of the box. This app also is available as a native mobile app, so you could go and for free download it on any Android or any iOS, so your iPhone or tablet. It's available to you. Plus, I can customize it and put restrictions. So I could create new, if you will, we call them app spaces. Think of them as portlets, and on them I could put visual widgets. So let me start by highlighting few, and I'll start with the out-of-the-box ones. So it lets me basically track and manage process-related assets. So this is a UI that allows me to search, find, drill down. So for a moment, think with me. I'm going to take my next pause. I'm going to wear the role or the persona of a process analyst or a process manager. I have now full power to have full visibility into detail minutia, as well as control. I can change the course and the outcome of the process if I need to. So you'll see here, there are many loan requests at totally different stages within the life cycle. So I like to be able to search. All I do is I could say, show me a name that has OLG, a substring search. You will notice here, it filters the list, and I have a loan that came from Olga. You could look here, it came in 13 minutes ago. And so I found, and I can drill down. Everything, by the way, so far I'm showing is out of the box. I will let us know when we highlight things that are customizable. When I drill down, expand the UI, what we're seeing, we like to refer to this as a single view with multi-viewpoints, multiple points of light. We actually call them gadgets. So each little gadget here on the left, you see an icon you could turn off or on. Just let me take a moment and highlight 2 or 3 of them. These are all out of the box. If my app that I'm automating has a flow, a sequence of steps, you will always see a diagram. And this shows me exactly the path it has taken so far. It shows me I received it. I went to the CSR. As you realize, we finished the work of the CSR. In this case, because it's a house loan, it's going to go into an appraiser to appraise it, do some calculations like LTV and so on. You will notice also to the left every step. So if I click on a step, I could see the step and drill down. You will see things like alerts, business alerts at different levels. So if I have an alert or an SLA violation across the entire step, you will see it. Alerts associated with specific steps, you will see alerts related to stages. For those of us who may not be familiar, what's a stage? A stage is the ability for a business analyst to point their left hand to one of the steps. So I could say from this step, and with my right hand visually, I could say from this step to this step, that represents the finance stage. It's a way of grouping and aggregation, and I could set SLAs on it. And if you want to see it a little more visually, each stage becomes, you could see these stages. So we go through the preparation stage. I'm still in it, and you could see time progressing on it. And Olga, apologies in advance. I already, in my chatty style, we already violated an SLA, and we've exceeded 3 minutes for an SLA. So this is an alarm. We'll see a little more on alarms later. You'll also be able to see, you can pick on any step, and it shows you details of underlying. So when the process was launched, we could see all the detailed information that was submitted by Olga and so on. One last thing I just like to highlight here, I think highlighting the concept, and you're going to see more of it in a few minutes, the integrated capability, the integrated, if you will, process app with analytics. Watch what happens when I click on this path forecasting. So just behind the scenes, every loan request, and this will apply to any process on planet Earth. We will keep track of how long it takes, how many we have run in the last hour, in the last day, each step, how much, how long, and we will learn what's normal down to the hour of the day and the day of the week. Because of it, you will notice here we took advantage of this capability, so it shows me these list of buttons. These are from where I am, the tool is telling me these are the possible paths. And if I click on a path, I could say, show me some forecasting statistics. So it's telling me today, 26% of your loan requests took this path. On the average, this path takes 1 hour and 14 minutes, and so on. And by the way, CSR takes most of the time, so 80%, 82% complete. Now, I have the ability from here, actually a slightly different UI, start raising alarms and do what we call closed loop analytics. I may touch on that later. But for right now, one more thing, and I apologize, I get a little interested here. Remember I told us a minute ago this step here that you see it was an Agile app. It could have been a mainframe app. Because it's an Agile app, you get extra out-of-the-box seamless integration. Watch, because when I select this step, it shows me this step, and you will notice there is, so it shows me the step, and yeah, it's green. That means we're done. The CSR finished his work, but you will see a little petite icon. It looks like a disconfigured some box. If I click on this icon, it will drill deep into my case management application. This is totally out of the box. In fact, and what I mean by that, I could in minutes, if you remember, this is all the data that was entered about Olga by a CSR. I could go and literally in 2 to 3 minutes, I could change the UI, which changes behind the scenes the persistence layers, apply rules. If I do, I come back here, you will see that data automatically change and pop up in front of me here. Behind the scenes, there's what we call a dynamic gadget. Every time you change the UI in case management, it will update the gadget, and that's what I'm executing. So just want to highlight that so you get extra benefits, seamless integration. So let's continue the journey, and I'm going to highlight another feature. If I click on this step, you will notice, as I said, this happens to be a step. Just for a moment, trust my word, it's done by normally an appraiser. And so imagine an appraiser who has to go to Olga's property and evaluate it. Maybe the property is totally worthless, and they want to say, no, there's no way we're going to move with it. They have that power, and so on. We have separated it as a step, and we used workflow. Part of our dynamic apps is workflow ability, where I could say, this is a step, tell the tool, implement it as a workflow, design a UI, and you get 2 flavors. One is a visual drag and drop. One can use any UI standard of your choice. So if you have a Java type standard, you could use it. We call it an open UI. Also, 2-3 things we offer as a capability. Anytime there's a human workflow task, you can deploy a native application. So you get what we call an mobile inbox out of the box with the UI as mobile, as well as you have the option to make it work in offline mode. Offline mode means the data is persisted on the native app, device. And so if the appraiser, you could imagine the appraiser goes to Olga's house, and Olga's house, let's say in a remote area, and there's no internet, basically the download, all the data is on his mobile. He can enter it. Once he's back in connection, it will update. I normally like to demo this, but just for time purposes, I'll just show one little screenshot we took off the screen that shows you basically the native mobile app here on an iPhone, just interacting, saying you're on off mode. When you come back, it does the synchronization. For right now, because I'm a super user, I could see exactly what the underwriter sees. Again, another benefit that this was built with our platform. So I'm going to drill in. So just want to leave us with the thought that that's another native mobile app. I do want to interrupt myself and even say I failed to highlight when we earlier on touched on that Mode 2 application, the CSR, CRM style app, that is also fully out of the box available as a native app. So right now, because I drilled on the appraiser's UI, pretty much this is the kind of UI the appraiser will see. I have authority, and And Olga, since you've been a good sport, I'm going to give you a score of 500. And as an appraiser for right now, let's approve it. And I could come back and validate again. Maybe 500 is too generous or too stingy, but the moment I am done as an appraiser, I just go and say completed. And in fact, I want to highlight one thing before I even complete this work. Just want to highlight another level of dynamicism. What you're going to see next, actually, is a new capability we added just recently, and we think it's unique in this process automation discipline among competitors of ours. I have the ability, as a user, in my case here, I am a process manager, point to any step, and you will notice here, let me maximize it a little bit, you will see an icon that looks like a pen. If I click on it, it sets a break, and you will see a little square box. And this says, as this process, I want the process, I can control the process rate. I want it to pause. And I'll come back to it in a minute. But very quickly, let's come here. Let's drill down, and let's make sure the appraiser says he's done. So the appraiser is going to go and say, I am complete. So Olga, he just visited your property. He checked it. He seemed to be okay. No denial, it's real. And he is done. And when we come back, you will notice the process marched on. And you could see on the left all the steps that completed. Now, because if you remember, I paused it, you will see here a pause button. And if I click on it, everything, by the way, so far, really the interactions and these things are out of the box. I could say continue, or the new feature is I can, on the fly, dynamically inject a process that could change the course of my, if you will, this structured process we are looking at. So right now, if I click on it, it comes back and it says, Sammy, these are processes you have access to. I could pick one of them. I pick one of them, and you could see a thumbnail sketch of this process. Here's an expedited process. Olga, we've been a little slow, so I'm going to pick expedited process, and I'm going to continue. So behind the scenes, and it just told me at the top, we injected on the fly a new process. And in fact, if I look at this step now, you see a little petite icon right where my cursor is, visually indicating that some injection occurred. Just for those of us in IT, a technical sentence, I want to, no pun intended, to inject here. This dynamic injection, I have the ability to have a service somewhere here along the path of the process where the service, an automated service on the fly, can spawn, birth a process entirely from scratch and inject it for me without what I just did in a human way. It's benefit of the new engine capability, I injected it here. So right now, if I select this step, you look here, you will notice there is a step inside that one called expedite processing, and you will see this little icon. And if I click on it, you will notice that's the process. So now we drilled down, we executed this expedite process. I monitor it just like I did before. And when I'm done, I can come back and you could see I finished this step. All right, one last step, Olga. Again, I appreciate you indulging us. But right now, because of some of your scoring, instead of us, we didn't decline you. That's the good news. We didn't automatically accept you. I want to come back and show another. To us, we're really proud of this new capability we added over the last few months, and this is the whole area of prediction, added intelligence. I'm going to come back to it, but just for now, actually, I'm going to go there straight. So you'll see here, there are several steps I executed. These two icons tell me these steps, whoever modeled this process, created using what we call visual notation. And those of us who are into this space, we're using basically what is embedded in our platform to be the inferencing rules engine. And just want to leave a little taste of what it is for those of you who are not familiar. Basically, you could build rules that can transcend apps, extricate them, run them in our platform. They're massively scalable, and you could build them using visual notations, things like decision trees, decision tables, and one benefit, among others, is this decision tree or table, once you deploy it, non-technical. mode 2, if you will. Business analysts could go and change the parameters and the rules condition and hot deploy it without IT. So these are rules. I'll highlight them in a second. But one of the rules, we intermingled a prediction. So let me actually highlight it. So right now, these are the two rules. This is my development environment in mode 1. And you'll notice actually this rule visually, this rule simply does a calculation by taking 3 parameters, and based on the parameters, which is the credit balance of Olga, depending on the credit limit, and I'm using here a decision tree, and based on how many times she missed payments, I calculate a score. Now, this could be a FICO score. Now, there's another rule. This one, we used rules as well, but what we used is our rules. One thing unique about them is you can, based on a condition, based on 1 or 2 or 10 parameters, you could trigger a process or a service, not just assign value. What you will see here is we actually created a service, and I'm going to pause and talk about it in a moment, using a prediction engine to use one common algorithm. It's referred to as neural networks. That's one, but there are dozens of other techniques or algorithms to do scoring and use scoring to predict what's the best outcome. And I'm going to pause and actually demo it right from my environment very quickly, just to give us a taste. So when I built this, I go to the rule, and when I run the rule, by the way, this service is this, no, this is not it. This is prediction using neural network that we invoke, and I'm going to run it. But just leave you with the thought of this. I could build a rule, and it has an if-then-else conditions based on 5, 6, 10 fields. But you could imagine this tree of conditions could become massive, or this decision table. So rules become rather intelligence. Sorry, let me right-click. Please be responsive. Here we go. And I'm going to just run it. I'm going to run this decision table and make a little point. Normally, rules are great to do things like some calculations and scoring and if and then else, but they become hairy and tough to manage. Imagine a situation where assessing the risk of Olga can depend on many parameters, dozens. Neural network is one algorithm where if you give it history, it eventually starts weighting nodes. A node is a variable or a parameter. So you could see here there are various nodes that can be used in the decision. What kind of property? What state? In addition to credit. So basically behind the scenes, so here's our capability that's new. And let me pause and introduce it. We acquired a company, and the claim to fame is you could go to any business, any customer where you have people, normally people called data scientists. They can build using any, we do not care, any development tool to build what we call statistical or prediction models or AI models. So they could build, they could use tools like IBM's SPSS, SAS is very popular, or you could use any of the open source programming languages. We don't care. R is an example, Python is another. And once you build that model, we can in minutes, basically we will generate from that model an open standard called PMML, Predictive Model Markup Language. That's PMML. And we will take that and basically ingest it into our prediction engine, and we'll operationalize it. Our claim to fame is we don't care what tool you use to build the model. We don't care what statistical model you use, whether you use scoring trees, balanced trees, naive Bayesian, etc. We will take it, we'll operationalize it, and let you run it. And it's a service that you could access it. And in my case, we exposed it as REST or SOAP, and I simply call it. So here, I could vary these parameters, and when I vary them, it will come back, and behind the scenes, it just invoked that service. And our customers could run that prediction engine either in a SaaS model, running on the cloud, or you could run it on-premise. That's just one feature we want to highlight it. So quickly, and I better watch time, I have few minutes, and I'm going to make maybe 2 points. So in the case of Olga, we basically, the prediction engine says, we use the engine to take situations that are a little shady. I can't easily decline or accept, run it through the engine comes and scores and said, please refer her to an underwriter. So unfortunately, Olga, I appreciate your patience, but it went to a final, in your case, a final underwriter. I could click the step, and this is another workflow task. No big deal. I drill down into it. This is also mobile, and I could look here. Just one little touch I like to highlight. Again, bear with me. Another capability we added fairly new is what's referred to as NLP, natural language processors, sometimes called chatbots or conversational agents. This is akin to using something like what's on your iPhone. I just blanked on her name. But on your iPhone, you could ask questions like how many loans rejected today? And when I ask, it comes says, got one application count. I could say, show me, Siri is who I blanked out on. So show me rejected loans. And you could see she showed me detail that I can cut and paste and drill down into it if I want. So just want to highlight this, another little touch of intelligence that could be used to help me. So right now, let's say the final appraiser. Again, for Olga, I'm going to complete. That means I'm done. And this journey, which is a micro-level journey I walked through, for Olga, the good news is we have finished everything. And you could see here the 3 stages are all complete. You could see each stage, how long it took. So for time purposes, and I know Charlie is probably chomping on the bit to take the floor, I just want to highlight one more topic, maybe give it 2 flavors. Believe it, I probably have about half a dozen topics I knew I had to sacrifice. But just the topic I want to touch on is events, because we've added capabilities in that area. So in general, to us, this whole platform is event-driven. Among other things, events is how the different components and capabilities interact with each other. One aspect of events is the ability to sense and detect events in real time. And not just sense and detect them, but take events coming from different sources, from inside my ecosystem, inside my apps and enterprise and outside, and in real time filter and correlate them. So I'm going to show 2 things. The first one, in the spirit of omni-channel, I want to show how with creativity and using tools, we're going to use another channel, and it's social media. And we take events and we correlate them and filter them and launch a process based on it. That's one. Secondly, let me do that, and then I'll go to the other one. And Charlie, I'm going to just end our session right after that. So if I go behind the scenes, the same process, we basically used a capability to what's called streaming analytics across any events in real time. And we use it to point to any social media. So this could be my company's Facebook. Listen to people chattering and based on what they're saying, or Twitter for people who follow my account. So let me just demonstrate Twitter quickly. And I'm going to just here, I'm not going to use my phone. I'm going to just log into my Twitter account. It's a semi-fictitious one. Oops, sorry. Let's log in. And when I log in, I'm going to do a tweet. And in this case, imagine people are tweeting, potentially thousands of people tweeting. We're looking for keywords, and we're looking for a number of tweets potentially happen within a time window. So a simple little filter and correlation. So I'm going to say, I really need a loan. They are always slow. Need it fast. We're picking some keywords for right now, and I'm going to just tweet. Behind the scenes, we will respond to the Twitter, and also you will notice if I go back to my applications, let's see if this worked, and this should be instantaneous. You will notice here in my list of loans, just 12 seconds ago, I launched an entire process. In fact, this process, just as we saw before, it went into my Agile apps. So if I look here at my dashboard, you will see a loan that came in. The only difference, think of it, is it came, oops, I pointed to the wrong one. You will see a loan that came in. Instead of having a person's name, I have what we call a Twitter handle and the phone that's available in Twitter, assuming that the user here opted into my app and has his phone in Twitter. We will pull that and fill information. And now as a CSR, I could call this individual. So think of this as another channel, but we're using events. The last thing I want to highlight, we acquired a technology very recently, and it provides us what we call, it's an open IoT platform. Simply put, this allows me to use any objects of things. So imagine I am in the warehousing or manufacturing, and there may be devices that are IoT enabled. They could send signals. I have the ability to, regardless of what network we use, regardless of what devices, I could manage these devices. What is special about us is now, as I manage these devices, I could use the same filtering to look for alarms or signals. And what I'm going to demo actually, a process. Again, I'm in Still Business Console. Oh, I failed to show us dashboarding and analytics. Charlie, I am past my time, and I actually meant to show that. But I just want to point out, we actually have a gadget, a thing with a temperature sensor. And if I put my coffee cup into it, you could imagine this could be a refrigerator or a cooling machine on a warehouse, and it raises an alarm. And maybe I could combine it with looking at the humidity in the room, and that exact same signal that I filter can launch a process or start a task for a worker. And you could see here visually, I should see a process. Again, we didn't apply this for the loan, but you could see here a process fired, and the process has human tasks to just jump on that device or that thing. Again, launching process using other channels. I just lied, guys, and I'm sorry, but I just wanted to, last sentence I want to leave us with, and I'm going to hand it over, and I'll leave the screens while Charlie is closing. At a macro level, okay, we show a process, and there may be thousands of loan requests flowing through the day. If I want to optimize my process, I need to measure it. I need to look at KPIs in real time. Two things, we give 4 out-of-the-box dashboards. In fact, I may have one of them open here. 4 out-of-the-box dashboards that lets me drill down and look at basically common KPIs across any process, things like volumetrics, cycle time, and it uses our learning engine behind the scenes. From these dashboards, I could drill down as well as I could raise alarms, escalations, if you will, and tie it to my trouble ticket system. This is one example of dashboards. There's other. And you also have the option to build your custom dashboards that has unique metrics for your process. And these dashboards, again, are responsive. So you could build your own custom dashboards. You could stage the data into a massive in-memory grid. So you could start doing slicing, dicing, and visualizing. So guys, that was the last touch I totally forgot to highlight. So I could say, show me for today only my imperfect loan requests, meaning ones that has SLAs. And you could see everything from here down, filters, and you could see every loan that had some defect. And now I could drill down and compensate. Charlie, I feel like I'm panting.
Thank you, Sammy. You have a lot of energy, I got to tell you. While we're waiting for the next slide to come up, let me just ask you, before you go for a glass of water, are the screens developed with CAF technology for the case management app?
So the case management, no, entirely using citizen development.
Great. All right. Thank you very much. So just to address the slide in front of us before we move to our Q&A, and I know we're running late, we would like to invite you to join us at an upcoming Software AG Innovation Tours in Chicago and Washington, D.C. These events are providing a fertile ground for what we call Ideas Network, where business and technology executives share inspiration with recognized partner companies and respected experts from around the world. For example, in the past, we've had Steve Wozniak presenting and interacting with attendees, so please take note of those locations and dates, and feel free to reach out for more information. Another question. Are cases shared in low-code and high-code environments?
Yeah, I can take that one. This is Rick. Yeah, so you can, as Sammy demonstrated, cases can be initiated through multiple channels, through a web form, through a person entering it, through a social network. Those can be created. And the case context is shared both in the low-code environment and also in the high control environment. So you can get access to the same information in both. And in fact, that's one of the benefits of the platform, is that you can start in low-code if you want to, and then enhance the design as you move it into sort of the high control environment.
Does dynamic process injection affect process instances in flight?
So I can take that one if you can hear me. Yes, they can. So I could potentially design a process in advance, or I could fabricate it in the fly in an automated way that does a compensation, reverse a complex chain of activities, including human being. In such example that I used, that would definitely change the course of the process. The whole intention, you do normally things like these to achieve the best outcome for my process or for my stakeholder or my customer or my business.
Okay, this is a fairly involved question. Potentially, what licenses / products do we need to replicate your demo? Or would you like to take that offline?
I could just at a high level. Go ahead, Rick. Go ahead.
No, I'd say that, yeah, what we're demonstrating is the Dynamic Apps platform, which includes Agile Apps included. So you've got both those sets of capabilities in one platform. But if you're an existing webMethods customer, then we should talk offline and figure out which components you have and what you can leverage in the overall platform that we're showing today.
Okay, and let's go to our final question, given the time element at this point. Simply, is this available in the cloud or on premises?
I can try this one, Rick.
Sure.
Not all, but a large majority of our capabilities are on the cloud, and not just you can run them on the cloud, host them on the cloud, you could run them using a SaaS-based model. The prediction is one of them. The case management, if you will, the Agile App Mode one is. There are a few others. The process model, which you saw me, those of you from IT, you saw I was in Eclipse, single development environment. Very soon, stay tuned, that will be made available so you could use a browser to do it. Again, I am honestly jumping into something that we won't see till I think the October release is a target. But more and more, and I would suspect by next year, just about everything you could run it in either or. So a subset of them, and it's easily more than half of the capabilities can be run in SaaS.
Our thanks again to Sammy Morkos and Rick McEachern for a fantastic presentation about a really fantastic platform. Coming up, you can see that we're looking at B2B capabilities next week. We're talking about general data protection regulations and how to accomplish that through ARIS and Alphabet. We're going to be looking at some master data management, IoT, and the list goes on. Till then, have a great rest of the day.